Hello and welcome to the Smart Chiropractor Show. I'm Dr. Jeff Langmaid here with my co-host, Dr. Jason Deitch, and we're here each and every Tuesday talking mindset, marketing, payday practice, featured guest interviews, and more. Today's show is a great one. We have awesome topics lined up, a great featured guest, and some really cool segments. So if you have not yet, please subscribe on YouTube or enable those notifications if you're watching on social media. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Right over here is why I'm doing great. We got the brand new physical copies, first time ever, of the Payday Practice. If you haven't gotten your copy, please do. I'm excited. It feels real now. We've got ourselves a book. You've got yourself some answers, and we've got ourselves a show. So I'm happy to be here.
I like it. And docs, if you have not checked out the Payday Practice yet, you can still pick up a free digital copy at thepaydaypractice.com. That is our gift to everybody in our tribe. Or if you'd love to support us one step further, we would love it. You can head over to Amazon and pick up a paperback on Amazon, or you can check it out on Kindle. We're going to talk more about that in our Payday Practice segment at the end of today's show. But today we're going to kick it off with Mindset Mentor. Welcome to the Mindset Mentor segment on today's Smart Chiropractor Show. We kick off each and every show with mindset because it is fundamentally important to everything else. You have to get that why correct before you understand the how. Jason, our topic today, can you rehearse your future the way you relive your past? Why is that question important? Why is it on your mind this week?
Well, that's a great question. The reason it's on my mind is because as we again release the brand new book, The Payday Practice, we get more and more feedback. I get to start listening to how people are thinking. And much of what I'm going to talk about here today, much of it is really based on Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. So I want to give credit where it's due. And much of what I'm going to talk about is really kind of referencing the way he describes it, which I, at this point, fully agree with. What he talks about is that we are in control of our focus. Our focus, as in what our eyes are looking at. As in there's an infinite number of things going on right at this very moment, but where your eyes, where your attention, where your energy are, is what's most important to you in this moment. That's an important skill set to be, number one, be aware of, and then number two, make sure you're in control of. Why do I bring that up? Well, as Jeff and I release this brand new book, The Payday Practice, what it's really about is not our book, but it is about your future. And more specifically, it's about financing your future. More specifically, what we mean is that there will be an inevitable day that every chiropractor will one day face where whether you get injured, whether you decide you want to retire, whether you want to take extended time off, whether the world shuts down the world again, or any other infinite number of reasons, there may be a reason at some point you are not physically able to show up to a practice, bend over a table, provide services like you normally do in exchange for revenue. In fact, in exchange for the revenue that supports you, your family, and your lifestyle, and maybe even your children and your future. And that is an issue. The reason it's an issue is because many chiropractors practice for many, many years, decades in fact, with chronic financial stress, with this need to chronically make sure they have enough new patients to pay their bills every single month. And as Jeff and I have been doing what we've been doing for the many, many years we've been doing it, the feedback we've gotten from most chiropractors is some version of, well, that's a great idea. You're right. It would be great if more of us taught people what chiropractic was really about, but I need new patients now. And if there was one common denominator, one common theme, one thread most chiropractors have in common, it may not be their philosophy. It is their chronic need for more new patients because of their chronic need for ongoing financial support, which is the exact reason why we came up with the Payday Practice concept, which is very simply understanding what your monthly recurring expenses are so that you can generate automatically monthly recurring revenue to cover those monthly recurring expenses. Imagine if on the first day of every month, instead of going back to zero in collections, you actually turned it into payday. You actually generated enough recurring revenue automatically to cover that month's business expenses. How would that change your practice? How would it change your life? How would it change your self-esteem? How would it change your relationships? How would it change your interaction and engagement with the people that do come in to see you? How it would change, I'll tell you, is that it would give you the ability to be in control of who you choose to work with and who you don't choose to work with, in control of how much work you want to do or don't want to do once you've met your expenses, in control of how you choose to practice. And being in control means that you have less, in fact, maybe no financial stress once you know you're covering your bills. And that's our goal for you. Why do we bring up today's topic? Well, there's a lot of history, a lot of memories, a lot of reliving the past, your past, that oftentimes will come up as reasons, maybe I'll call them excuses, as to why you think you may not be able to pull off what it is that we're teaching. So far, most people go, this is a great idea, but some people go, but I don't know if I can pull this off. I don't know if other chiropractors can pull this off. And the only reason anybody would ever come up with that type of feedback is because they are reliving their past history. They are referencing their current, present moment and their future based on their past, oftentimes based on their traumatic past, their limited past, their frustrated past, any other past that may not be the most inspiring, most supportive, most encouraging ideas or experiences that lead you to an I can do it attitude. And so that's why I bring this up, is as you read the book, as you perhaps think about your future and how great it can be, not how devastating it might be based on your past, which is the point. If you look into the future and you see doom and gloom, if you see frustration, if you see more challenges, more dread, the only reason you'd be seeing that in your future is because you think you're going to be reliving your past. So what Joe Dispenza talks about, which I'm going to just reiterate and repeat here, again, giving him the credit, is that the place to be is in what he calls the generous present moment. And in the generous present moment is the time that you no longer live in the known past or predictable future. Now, the reason he uses those terms is because most people don't live consciously. They don't live in the present moment. They live repeating what's happened to them in the past. And then that's why he refers to it as the predictable future. Because if you keep doing what you've always done and keep thinking the way you've always thought, we can pretty much predict how things are going to work out moving forward. Which is why we want to take this moment and say, wake up, pause, take a deep breath. You can do this. How do I know? Because I know it's possible for all chiropractors out there, or whatever profession that you're in. If you will stop repeating the past and start creating your future, dreaming about what's possible, and reminding yourself that you can take a simple next step or two or three and stay focused on what's possible, not what's probable, you will find things happen differently. And all of that starts with what Jeff talked about in the very beginning. I want to repeat that who you are determines how well what you do works. You could give 10 different chiropractors the exact same strategies and they will get 10 different outcomes. It's not the strategies. It's the person implementing the strategies and their mindset, their energy, and their ability to take action over and over and over again. And that's what we're talking about here today. Where are you? Are you just simply reliving your past, thinking this is the way it's always been, therefore this is the way it's always going to be? Or are you able to say, wait a minute, that makes so much sense. Why would I repeat the bad things that have happened to me moving on in the future when you're in charge and control of your focus, your attention, your energy, your mindset, And that's what we're here to remind you about here today. So as you are curious about learning what the payday practice is all about, more specifically, as you're curious about learning what can you do to reduce your financial stress in practice, create the financial future that you want so that you can be the happy, joyful chiropractor and person that you know is possible for you, then I want to remind you that you can do it. And the way I know you can do it is by making sure you take time to focus on your present, current, generous moment and dream about the possibilities of the future, as opposed to predict that the future is going to be something like your past. Jeff, that bring anything up for you, my friend, or what do you think people need to know?
I think it's a great topic, and so many of us bring baggage with us as we go along, and the baggage gets greater, and often the older that we get and the more experience that we have. So being able to take a look at that more objectively, let go of what you can, and really be able to take what I'm going to call, I guess, a more actionable approach to your future is one of the most important things I think any of us can do, and that extends far beyond business. It extends to really all facets of our life, but it certainly applies to practice. And many of us, I believe, in the vein of practice, we might struggle early on. Maybe we have a fractured relationship, a business relationship early on. Maybe we have something that didn't meet our expectations and agreements, and we feel as though we got burned, and we carry that with us throughout time, and we see this happen time and time again. And I'm not going to pick on chiropractors because of it. I think it's more about the nature of the entrepreneurship and sole proprietor nature of chiropractic. While most of us really desire being caregivers day in and day out, many of us are, let's say, gently moved into the entrepreneurial business building aspects of practice that for many of us, it might not be exactly what we love to do day in and day out. That's a challenge situation. If we have a power issue early on with a different doc or something like that, quite often that can lead to us really carrying a lot of that with us throughout time. So understanding that each new day is a new day. Certainly understanding that you can control what happens from this day forward. And while things happen, it's your ability to navigate it that is really going to shape your life experience. I think is some of the most important topics that you can be bringing up, Jason. And I'm going to encourage every doc listening and watching. Our mindset segments are awesome. I learned something from it each and every week from Jason. He has great topics. If you have not checked everyone out, head over to our YouTube channel because we have a playlist with every mindset segment from over 6 months of Smart Chiropractor shows. So you can watch them all. You can set them up as a playlist. Get them going. Get them rocking in your practice. I love kicking it off with this segment each and every week. This week was another good one. It is storming like crazy outside, incidentally, outside of my windows here, but we're going to head over to Research That Matters now on today's Smart Chiropractor Show. Welcome to Research That Matters on today's Smart Chiropractor Show. With the Smart Chiropractor, we think of marketing strategically with an annual calendar, monthly campaigns, weekly topics, and daily posts. That is how we automate the patient journey for our docs, whether it's new patient acquisition, improving retention, or building that flywheel of reactivations, we like to think of it through the lens of what content can you put out that's going to get attention, that's going to build trust, that's going to provide value, and that's going to give you the opportunity. Those are all the teach. It's going to give you the opportunity to invite. That's why we talk about teach and invite consistently. That is how we find not only the biggest businesses in the world, but also your practice can build and grow one day at a time. So our monthly campaign for July, we are wrapping up July 2022. This month has been all around headaches. A significant portion of the world struggle with headaches. This is also one of the top 3 reasons people initially visit a chiropractor. So it's an important conversation for you to lead in your community. Our Smart Chiropractor members have been leading that throughout our automations and some of the extra videos they shoot with our video scripts, and they have reached millions of people. If you'd love to learn more about that, you can head over to smartchiropractor.com. Monthly campaigns about headaches. Weekly topics, as we round out this month, is about relieving migraine headaches. We've touched on a variety of aspects of headaches throughout the month. We're finishing up with migraines. A couple key points regarding migraines that I think is important for all of us to know as providers is that migraines are multifaceted in nature. They can be stress-induced, they can be hormonal-induced. There's a lot of things that can go into triggering a migraine. And for many people that struggle, the millions of people, as a matter of fact, that struggle with migraines day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, wherever that cadence sits for them, this can be really debilitating. So the one side, the aura, there's a variety of presentations with migraine headaches, but unilaterally, they're debilitating. And they wreak a serious impact on so many people's lives. And I know all of us as chiropractors have seen people come in, and the beauty is the research showcases this as well. We can really make a huge dent in the frequency, severity, and the time between headaches as well that make a huge impact on and with people's lives through the care that we deliver. So that's why it's so important to get that messaging out there. Final component about migraines that I think is really important to understand is for those individuals, and there are, depending upon the size of your community, hundreds, thousands, if not tens of thousands that are reaching for that medication day in and day out. We've talked about this in some previous weeks, but I want to bring it up right now as well. And that is, refractory headaches are the number one side effect of, and specifically, migraine medications. So this becomes a really self-fulfilling prophecy that it actually amplifies the frequency and severity of the headaches long term as the body becomes sensitized to the medication. And this starts to create a really, really negatively cyclical type thing going on in people's lives. So not only have we all had patients, I'm sure, that sing our praises as a result of the care that we've delivered and the impact we've made in their lives, but there's probably a lot of people, let me rephrase that. There are a lot of people in your community that are still struggling, that haven't made it into your practice yet. How are they going to get there? Magic and hope are probably not two good things to rely on. What you're going to want to rely on is getting the messaging out there, leading the conversation, so that as they're looking for answers, as they're talking with friends, as they are online cruising through their feeds, as they're checking their email, they're getting awesome information from you around this topic that teaches them something interesting, invites them to take action, and you show up consistently. Jason?
Headaches are headaches. I mean, that is what it is, and it's something that we have a great solution for. The key is it's very hard to understand just the craziness that's going on in the world right now. Why should it be so difficult for people to understand that there is a natural, holistic way to address the cause of their headache versus suppressing the symptom with medications over and over and over again when there are known side effects, including headaches, let alone much worse. And what it comes down to is that we have just not done a good enough job being able to communicate with people the value of what it is that we do. If we did, we wouldn't be in this experience. People would have a better appreciation. So whether it's building trust, whether it's actually sharing the research and sharing the information, not just having a flyer somewhere that somebody eventually finds, but proactively sharing on a consistent basis how you can help people in your community. And that's the whole idea of every month having a different campaign, every week having a different subtopic of that monthly campaign, is it gives you what you need to easily, practically, effortlessly turn on your computer, pick up your phone, put on your video, and start teaching and inviting consistently. If you're looking to figure out, how do I get off this ridiculous treadmill of needing more new patients month after month after month, of hoping that your marketing / advertising will bring enough in this time, and praying that it still works over and over and over again, then you can get off those ings and start teaching. That is going to be the key to bringing people in. How do we know? Because those docs that are doing it are finding that they have a consistent source, not just of tire kickers, not just of deal shoppers, not just of those people that go, wow, look how cheap that is. I get a massage and all this information. You'll even throw in an adjustment for that ridiculous price. Who could not do that? You actually kind of have to ask yourself how everybody doesn't take advantage of these ridiculously low offers. And still it's challenging for some chiropractors, even making it as cheap as they do, which we do not recommend. Devaluing your service doesn't create a high value client. Teaching people the benefits they can expect when they work with you over and over and over again, and having the financial peace of mind that you can teach and be unattached as to who comes in or doesn't come in. That's the rub, and that's the reason why we've really introduced the payday practice concept of generating monthly recurring revenue each and every month, so that you are not the one who's more desperate than the people coming in to see you. That you can be in control of your practice, you can be in control of your message, you can be in control of who you work with, when you work, how much you work, how little you work. All of that comes down to your ability to have the confidence you can cover your monthly recurring expenses. How do you do it? We believe with monthly recurring revenue. Where do you learn how to do it? The payday practice. That is how you teach and invite consistently and have the financial resources to be able to be patient enough in the process and in control of your life and your practice. So great topic. We know it's a popular one. There's no shortage of people with headaches in anyone's community. In fact, I believe the data says they've increased significantly after the insanity we've been through. It is time for us to just keep on speaking up, maybe speaking a little bit smarter to the people in our communities, using the technologies that everybody is addicted to anyway, and teach them why you're the solution that they should be coming in to see, and let those who understand and resonate with you come in to see you, because you're doing the right thing for the right reason. So great topic, Jeff, as always.
And if you're listening or watching and you'd love to learn more, head over to thesmartchiropractor.com. And as Jason said, if you want to pick up a digital copy, we're going to gift you one of the Payday Practice at thepaydaypractice.com. Or if you want to step it up one level, I'd encourage you to do so. You can grab that paperback at Amazon. Jason, we're going to take a look at member highlights. Welcome to Member Highlights on today's Smart Chiropractor show. Today we're going to take a look at a doc Jason and I met a few months ago. We've had a bunch of conversations about and with this gentleman, and I am going to share my screen right now, and we're going to take a look at an Instagram account. Member Highlights is when we like to highlight docs doing really cool stuff to teach and invite consistently. So we're going to take a look at, and I'm shortchanging Dr. Cody right now. This is Dr. Cody Hanish of Combined Clinics. He's down in Australia, and I'm going to shortchange him. I went to Instagram. You can see nearly 300,000 followers there. But this guy's got over 1.5 million, I think, 2.9 million on TikTok. So he is one of the most followed chiropractors on planet Earth. He's even got the verification on Instagram, going big over here. But if you'll look through his feed, you'll notice quite a few things. Number one, he's a passionate chiropractor who is getting out there and teaching and inviting consistently. There's a lot you can learn by looking at what he has done. Consistency is absolutely key, and the educational component of what he puts out each day is powerful. And you can see it's not overwhelming. Similar to what we do at the Smart Chiropractor, this is about putting things into patient language. Often we get this, I don't forget what they call it, but it's that halo effect. It's, you go to chiropractic school, you hang out with chiropractors all the time, you think everybody knows as much as you do about the body and health, and it's a false expectation and belief. And if you are 3 levels above the person you're trying to teach, it's going to be very difficult. They're not going to be able to follow you. You really have to take the information and put it into the context for people to be able to learn, that you can guide them along that process. And Cody does a great job of doing that throughout his videos. Yeah, he has some adjusting videos, some travel videos, some of his practice, of his dogs there. And all of that adds to his ability to connect with his audience in an authentic and meaningful way. The way that he has grown this, he, just as all of us, started at 0. And this is not loaded with 400,000 bots that he paid for to get it. He has done the hard work necessary to build a great brand online and a tribe of individuals who follow him literally around the world. Now, what does that give him the opportunity to do? Well, I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was traveling here in the States. Jason and I spoke to him yesterday. Now he's back in Sydney, and he's looking at the opportunities he has in addition to the hands-on care he delivers. And many of those opportunities stem from the fact that he has built a really robust and great following online. Now, I also want to say, if you're watching this and you're like, gosh, I got like 42 people following me, and 18 of them are in my family, and this is I don't know if I'll ever get there. Everybody's journey is different, so it's not about necessarily just the sheer number. It's just about showing up. It's about the process. And for every life and life you impact throughout time, I think that is the most meaningful thing you can do. But what we don't like to see, and what drives me nuts when I see it, is when somebody has a low follower count and they're not taking action and they wonder why. So if you're taking action, you'll build, and that build might be slow. Don't worry about it. That's okay. It does take time to build a significant following, and some of our followings will never get even as big as Dr. Cody's sit here today. Some people listening and watching, your following will probably get 2, maybe even 10 times bigger. We don't know where it will end up, but what we can't control that. But what we can control is our desire and ability to show up every day and teach. Jason?
One of the things I just want to make sure people hear clearly in this message is that we are not teaching you what to teach. We are teaching you that you should be teaching. And I want to say that because I can already hear some of you, a percentage of you, watching what Cody's doing and in some way going, oh, I would never do that. And therefore you discount the entire concept. Whatever it may be. I know some of you are out there going, oh, that looks great. I can do that. And others are going to go, I wouldn't do it that way. I wouldn't use those words. I wouldn't say those things. I wouldn't do it that way. That's fine. You don't have to do it his way. But the key is many chiropractors continually ask us, how do I know this is even possible for me? Is there anybody doing any of these things? How do I know this actually works? And here's how you know it works. And it's not what he's teaching, it's that he's teaching. And the name of the game, we'll say it over and over again, I guess pun intended, is his consistency. We will consistently tell you how important consistency is, because that is the name of the game. It is the formula of teaching, then inviting, and doing it over and over and over again. Cody nor anyone else became an overnight 100,000, multi-million following. This is something that happens over time, unless you are a Kardashian or a president or some other celebrity that already has a fan following. You will do what everybody else does, ourselves included, and that is earn your following by doing the right things and sharing things that are of value.
Well said. So if you want to check out Dr. Cody's page, he is Dr. Cody _DC on Instagram. Again, that is DRCODY _DC on Instagram. TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know. I don't know his handle on TikTok, but I'm sure he's easy to find if you type in Dr. Cody. And Cody, great job out there showcasing who you are and what you do, and doing it with abject consistency. I love it, and keep up the great work. And docs out there listening and watching, if you'd love for us to showcase what you're up to, if you think you have a great platform, great channel, you're doing great things, let us know. Hit me up, drop a comment down below, shoot me a direct message. We'd love to highlight you on a future episode of the Smart Chiropractor Show. But on today's show, we're going to head over to our featured guest segment. Welcome to our featured guest segment on today's Smart Chiropractor Show. Our featured guest segment is one of my favorites, and if you want to check out all of our previous segments that have featured guests, you can head over to YouTube and check out the playlist. Additionally, interviews by the Smart Chiropractor. It's the most popular podcast in chiropractic right now, and it's available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. If you search interviews by the Smart Chiropractor, you will be able to follow along with a complete lineup of these featured guest interviews in audio format. On today's show, we're going to visit with John Morrison of Get Clear Websites. We're going to talk about supercharging your chiropractic website. John's company is a great one. There are a few companies that we really like out there doing awesome work in the website space. John's company, Get Clear, is one of them, and we chatted with him about exactly what you need to know as a practicing doc around web design and function to enable yourself to supercharge growth long term. Without further ado, here's a conversation we had with John Morrison. Hey, Smart Chiropractors, and welcome to the Smart Chiropractor Show. This is your featured guest segment where each and every week we take the opportunity to talk to really cool people doing really cool things in and around the chiropractic space. And I am fortunate to today have a conversation with an old friend of mine, I guess I can say at this point, John Morrison, co-founder of Clinic Sites. John, thanks for chatting with me today.
Great to be here, Jeff. Thank you so much, and privileged to get a chance to be on the show.
Well, my pleasure. And so many docs out there, I'm going to kick it right off. So many docs have a website. Maybe they have a website company, but they don't really know what they're paying for or what their website's supposed to do for them, I guess you could say. So I want to pick it up right there and ask you, for the docs out there listening, they have a website, they're interested in even making it work better, convert better. What should they be looking for in a website company that you've discovered of years and decades in the business that would help them achieve their goals at a higher level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think about websites a lot, especially in the clinical space. And one of the things that I want to correct at first is just when people think that websites are only about your marketing. And I mean, marketing is important. But when it comes to what a website's use is, I think about things like, yeah, getting in new patients is super important. Who wouldn't want more new patients? But we're also so time poor these days that it would be nice if your website could save you a bit of time. And the way that we could do that is to answer some questions that people have, maybe some directions that people need about getting to your place, common questions about, maybe your insurance, questions about, ask your administrator, or even just think about like, what are the common questions that I get asked all the time? And then answer them on your website, because that will save you a ton of time. Maybe there's things that you just find yourselves saying all the time, like exercises that you give. Throw a camera in front of you on a mat and just do those exercises. So instead of saying it every single day, you can record it and then point people to your website. So who wouldn't like to save time? So marketing is important, but saving time is huge. The other thing that I think websites can do is to add value to your practice. I think that when somebody's going to buy your practice one day, they're going to look at your website as one of the first things to determine, what is this website like? And yes, I mean, you'll come up with the numbers, and a professional broker will give you what your practice is worth based on how many patients you have and your activation. They'll look at everything, but that emotional buy is going to come from the first impression your website gets. So I don't have the data to prove this, because my clients aren't selling a lot of their practices yet, but I think a good website could add like $20,000 to a sale. Just a number I'm just picking, but it's all emotional, and it's all based on that first impression. Okay, so that's what a website should do. And then a website should also replace your business card budget. So I don't know how much you spend on business cards, but people aren't passing them around anymore. I mean, they didn't before COVID much, and now they're definitely not since COVID. And so one of the things that websites should do is convert your referrals. So it's not just about your, bringing in new patients that are totally cold, but like even when a client or a patient has an amazing experience, maybe in the past they would have given you a business card, or you would have met somebody. Now they just send people to the website. We have one client who moved into a new area of his town, was meeting a neighbor while watering the garden. So they're talking over the fence, and he's found out he's a chiropractor. And the guy said, in the past, I might have said, hey, give me your business card. I'll give you a call. Instead, guess what he said, Jeff? What's your website? So he went and looked at his website and came back and said, I'd like to be I'd like you to be my chiropractor. So imagine if he had a bad website and he didn't come back and say, it's like, I went to your website and I think you got some work to do. And that would have been an awkward neighbor relationship, but because now they work together, it was because a website converted him. So those are the four things. Get new patients. Yes, a website should do that. Save you time, increase the value of your practice, and convert your referrals. That's what I'm all about. That's what I love to do to help chiropractors with those four things.
I love it. I always tell the joke that I'm the only guy on planet Earth that cruises chiropractic websites for fun, but maybe you might be the second guy on planet Earth here.
I don't do it for fun. It literally makes me cringe. Sadly, I mean that's when I'm wondering, like, what am I here on Earth to do? Like, what's my purpose? I go to chiropractic websites and I realize, holy cow, I've got a lot of work to do before they can put me in the ground. So.
There's a lot of challenged websites out there. There's no question about it. One thing that you mentioned that I love to dive deeper into is the empathetic connection. You said the emotional connection, the positioning, if you will, defining who you are as a provider. And I know you've been deeply involved in the story brand field for a significant amount of time. And that's an aspect of what you bring in to the websites that you create at a certain level. And I love that. For docs that are unfamiliar with story branding, what is it? And then the second part of that would be, how do you think about that in terms of installing it into a website?
Well, I think the story branding part is really just a label for what we know should be the case. And this is what I think was eye-opening to me over the years, is that I'd be talking to a chiropractor and I'm like, tell me about your philosophy. He goes, well, we do patient-centric care. And I'm like, really? Because I went on your website and it's all about you. I thought you would give doctor-centric care because your website is all about you're the center and all that you do. And it's not really about your patients at all. And so there was a breakdown to me in that most patient-centric docs were doing doctor-centric marketing. And so StoryBrand became very appealing amongst those who already had that in their philosophy, right? Like they do care about patients. They love patients, but when it comes to their marketing, they get uncomfortable. They don't really know what to say. And so that cursor's blinking at them saying, you have no idea what to say here, right? Even when you work with a chiropractic company, like marketing company, they're going to ask for some information. If you don't have a framework, then you're just going to do what most of us do when we get uncomfortable. We talk about ourselves, right? And we do that at parties. We do that at events. And we do that when we're public speaking. That's what we know best. So we go to what we're comfortable with. We do that on dates too. Like we just talk about ourselves. But it's not effective in communication. People want you to connect with them and to get into their story. And so that's why StoryBrand was so popular amongst those who have the deep philosophical beliefs that patients should be at the center of our practices. So it shouldn't be different on your website then. And so all StoryBrand is doing is flipping around the focus from this is who I am, I'm the doctor, this is why I'm important, to you're the patient. These are your goals. This is your idea of your happily ever after based on you being the hero of your story. Here's how we can be a part of that. So here's some of the benefits of working with us. Here's some of the reasons why you can trust us. And here's some of the outcomes that you can expect. It is really on flipping that. So we don't talk necessarily about the services or the tools that you offer as much as we talk about the benefits and the outcomes. And that's why StoryBrand, I think, has been so largely effective, is because it's realigned people to say, oh yeah, I really should be talking to my patients in my marketing and not just talking about myself. Yeah. So it's just a framework to help you do that.
Benefits over features. That is always something very important to be reminded of. I think all of us as people out there in the community, if you're a chiropractor, if you are a business owner, it's about those connections. It's about getting your message out there and really putting your client, your patient, whoever it might be, at the heart of that story. Critically important. John, I want to trace it back to a little bit of origin story right now. How'd you get involved in all this to begin with? You have deep product knowledge. You have great insight. How did this all start for you?
Well, I mean, I love people. It's always been something that's been important to me, and helping people grow and empowering them to grow their businesses or their practices. I think it just came with chiropractors. The way back story is that when I first got certified as a StoryBrand guide was the same month that Mark Zuckerberg was announcing that he was going to start promoting groups. So social media was going to become social again. And I realized that there was no Facebook group for StoryBrand people. So this is back in 2017. And so I just started a group called, hey, learn how to StoryBrand your business. Well, there was a chiropractor in Colorado. He saw what I was doing and I was helping people. I wasn't charging anything for it. He invited me to his mastermind group and said, hey, would you mind being a part? Do the same things you're doing with this group, this Facebook group, do it online with these chiropractor friends of mine. And so I said, sure, I'll show up. So I literally walked into a Zoom room and there was 10 heads there. And one guy's name was Bobby. One guy was Kevin. One guy was Josh and Andrew in there. And I just started sharing stuff about them, and they brought up all their websites. I was like, oh, guys, like that doesn't make any sense, or that's not good. And literally, Jeff, like I walked away and the call went long. I was late for dinner. And my wife's like, how'd it go? Like that went for a while. And I said, I think I just pissed off a bunch of American chiropractors. And then literally I said this line. It's been immortalized in our family. In fact, we should put it above our dinner table. It's like, it's okay. We'll never see them again. Let's eat. But then the next day, I realized that this Kevin Christie guy had a podcast, and so did this guy named Bobby, and so did Josh. And they all invited me to be a guest in their podcast. And then a couple of clients came in because of that, and I was just doing the StoryBrand. And then I realized that websites is so important. So then I just kind of focused on the website part. While I was doing that, my brother he had built a website platform from scratch for nonprofits. So he had grown it to 1,000 nonprofits, and then he sold it to a company, but kept the rights to the corporate side of it. So then I got to keep the corporate side because he's like, I'm tied up with this company for 5 years or so. Do you want this? So then I got to apply StoryBrand and this really easy to use website platform that was designed for like Aunt Betty, who's leading a nonprofit, right? Or a church secretary or something who has high needs but low abilities. And I thought those are a lot of like the chiropractors I work with. They're not great with marketing, and but they want to have control over their stuff. So then I said, let's apply the StoryBrand principles with chiropractors, with the website. And then that's how that kind of came about. But then just to share a little bit more, I was speaking at an event in St. Louis for the FTCA group, and I ran into my friends from Jane, who I had grown up with. There's a lot of the story there, but we were good friends at one point. I was best man at one of their weddings, and then but we had time and distance and all that with kids and stuff. But we reconnected there and said we should be working together. Like Jane app and clinic sites could really be working well. So we figured out integration, and then I was really bought in for life. So if I was kind of moonlighting with chiropractors at one point, once you name your company Clinic Sites, that's when I realized like I have to go all in on helping clinic owners win by giving them great websites. So then all of a sudden, I'm researching on like ADA compliance stuff and all sorts of stuff that but it's all my heart is always to help people grow their business and win. And right now my focus is clinic owners.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job doing that. And a question that I have off of what you mentioned is the technical limitations. So many docs, you and I, we geek out in the technology space. It's what we do for our careers. We get deep into that stuff. So many docs out there are caregivers by nature. They want to provide care and have as little encumbrance around that as possible. That's what they love to do. It's how they make their living. And sometimes technology can be super intimidating. How do you approach clinic sites as the business owner in a way that enables the chiropractor and your client to be able to manage things and not be like super stressed out and super, technologically beaten down as some of us have been with tech and tech projects in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question. Hopefully we don't have too much of a time constraint because, I love just chatting about this, but my heart is to help people win with tools. So they should be able to manage their own website. I think the thing that frustrates me the most is if you look at your own website, like you paid for this website, you're looking at it and your name is misspelled or your wife's name is misspelled or your assistant's name is misspelled or something's amiss there. Maybe you want to add a blog, you've written all this stuff and you can't do it. Right? That's incredibly frustrating to me because like, how debilitating is it or just like unempowering it is it to not be able to make a change on your website. So it's like there's a lowercase g there. All I need to do is make it an uppercase G and I have no idea how to do it. So instead I have to email this place and maybe it's the weekend. So they're not going to get back to me till even Tuesday. And then maybe some places even bill you for it. Like, oh, we capitalized the G. So, here's $100 that you owe us now. It's like everybody, the tools are there now. Like the technology is there that we should be able to just go into our websites and quickly make changes. And that's the thing that fires me up. However, both of you and I know that even though some people can do it, they still don't do it. And so the next thing I realize is that we need to have outstanding human technical support so that when you have an issue, you need to get a human there, not just to be referred to a chatbot or someone that doesn't speak English or whatever, your own native language. It needs to be as simple as possible because the truth is that you don't have to do everything as a clinic owner, right? Like you're great at serving people. You're good at taking care of them. You don't have to be an expert HTML coder and all that. You just have to have a tool that allows you to do it. So there's no coding involved on our platform. It's literally just like if you can manage a Facebook profile, then you can manage your own website. And that to me is the heart of what Clinic Sites is all about. It's about giving power to people to be able to manage their website because I think it's a life skill these days. If you want to own a business, and chiropractors are business owners, we all know that. I think that managing a website is a life skill that you have to know. It's just part of like understanding your taxes and understanding your HR issues, understanding marketing in your website, I think is a part of it.
I think that is a great answer and a great practical advice for all the docs listening and watching is there's certain things that you can delegate. And while you don't need to build your website from scratch, John Software will help make that easy. There are some core tenets when you have the right tools available that can really empower you to do a lot more and really be a little bit more creative, be a little bit more engaging, do things on your own that enable you to be more nimble as a practice and as a provider. And that is so, so important for all of us. One thing that I would be remiss to ask, if I didn't ask you this, is so many docs, when they hear website, they immediately think Google and SEO. What are maybe I'll let you choose. You can either go to a misnomer or two around Google and SEO, or a tip or two every doc listening and watching should know around Google and SEO.
Well, maybe I can do both. We'll see. I think the misnomer is that it's this complicated thing that you have to jam in keywords into places that completely wreck your whole website, right? So if you just put chiropractor in your city over and over enough times, then maybe you'll get to the top of Google. And maybe there was a time when that was the case, but obviously Google's gotten a little smarter. And so I think, Jeff, my working theory is that if you want to figure out Google, you've got to figure out what Google wants. And I think what Google wants is to provide an amazing experience to those who are searching. Because Google knows that if people have a question and they go to Google, and if Google can't supply an answer that's trustworthy, then Google's going to trouble. They're going to go to Bing, they're going to go to Yahoo, or whatever's coming up next, right? And so Google has to stay atop of the game by always finding out what is the best content that I can provide this person who's asking this question. So sometimes it's like a universal question and geography doesn't matter, but sometimes the question is geographical specific. Like, let me find who's the best chiropractor near me. So Google has, they've learned a few things, like checking out the reviews, checking out how long people are spending on a page. Is the page, does it load fast? If somebody clicks on a link and it just is a white screen, we know Google has the stats that says people are going to bounce off of it. So if they bounce and they go somewhere else, then Google said, well, we sent the people to this one place at one time, and then they left before they even saw any content. We're not going to show them first again because it weakens the Google product. So when you figure out that Google's end game is to provide people with the best possible experience, then all of a sudden you realize I can do that. And how do I do that? I have a clean looking website. It has a message that keeps people engaged. It has videos that are also engaging. People click around, right? It means they're reading stuff and they're engaging with it. So I got to have a website that actually speaks to people. And so the web content is good. The web design is important. And of course, like some of the things like speed and stuff are good too. So there's just a few things. The mystery is I have to do all these things that only these gurus of SEO understand. But the gurus of SEO are all saying, just provide content that provides a great experience for people, that scratches where they're itching, because that's what Google wants. And of course, here's one thing. It has nothing to do with my platform, but everyone would say, and I've seen you talking about this, and I applaud you on it, Jeff. I've even pointed people to a lot of your blogs. Google My Business is so important. Why is that important? Because Google, of course, Google's going to want to put people into Google My Business. Their name is right in there, right? So if you have a clear, robust, accurate Google My Business profile, Google's going to reward you for that. And if it's got lots of reviews and stuff, of course, that's important too. So you should have a system for how you're getting new, fresh reviews, but building out with all of the services that you offer, a detailed description of what those services are like so that the keywords are in there, but not jammed in there so that you're trying to hack the system, but actually well written so that people find it engaging and want to read it, because Google is tracking all that stuff. And Jeff, I welcome your thoughts, because this is an area that you are clearly an expert in too. Did I get it right, do you think?
I wholeheartedly agree. Dialing in your Google Business NAP, as we'd say, name, address, phone number, critically important. So when somebody takes action, they're actually getting to the right place. The only thing that I'll push back on is nobody's going to Bing. I'm just playing with you. So
they might go to Bing if Google starts laying an egg every time, though, right? Like, if Google keeps pointing people to crappy websites with bad information, eventually the product will be weakened, and then they're going to find something else, right? So Google's going to be on high alert not to let that happen, right? So that's all. But yeah, they're not going to Bing. To show it.
You're 100% correct. And we speak about within the Smart Chiropractor about teaching and inviting consistently. How do you have marketing campaigns and content that proactively answer the questions people in your community are asking for exactly what you're saying? When they go in and they're searching, if they're hitting your website and you're answering the question clearly, directly with a great user experience, powered by clinic sites, now it's going to really Google's going to favor favor you long term. You're going to convert more patients, and you're just going to do a better job teaching and inviting, educating, engaging with your community. John, we could go on and on for this. We could geek out for hours and hours, but I want to be respectful of your time. Before we close, where can docs learn more about you and or clinic sites?
Yeah, you can, why don't you try a Google search of clinic sites to see if we're doing okay. Or you could just go quickly to clinicsites.co. Clinicsites.co. We started this company with this specific domain 2 years ago. Clinicsites.com was taken. It became available, and I got outbid at the last second by 5 minutes. So I lost that bid by $5 and 5 minutes. I was ahead. I was like, we won it. We got clinicsites.com finally. And then now people think, are you guys like a Colombian company or something? But no, clinicsites.co is where you'll find us. And yeah, just reach out to me because I'm happy to have a conversation through social. I'm a member of your group. Happy to contribute however I can and add value. But also just jon@clinicsites.co is my email address. So I love chatting with chiropractors. They're my people, and I'm happy to be a part of this community. And I got brought in as a late addition, but I've been happy to serve these last 5 years in this community.
Thank you. Love your work. Thanks for sharing today. You gave a bunch of practical information that docs out there not only need to know, but can act on. I love it. Thank you so much for taking some time, and I'll speak with you soon.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks for all your hard work serving the community as well. It's a privilege to get to spend time with you.
You're welcome. All right, great interview with John Morrison at Clinic Sites. Get clear, and a good guy and knows his stuff as far as websites are concerned. So lots of great information. I'm going to encourage you, if you have built your own website, rewind, wait for it on Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor, but really take some of those tips and implement them. It's going to help your website perform at a higher level. And if you are somebody that currently has a website with a company, it's great to spot check them. So getting a great understanding of exactly how a site should be running, some optimization tips, perhaps even just reaching out to your current website company. If you hear something or have an idea, ask them if they can implement for you. It's a great way to get optimal performance out of it. Use the information that's available for the benefit of your practice, which is a direct reflection on the benefit it can provide the patients in your community. Jason?
It's good to understand just how the digital ecosystem works. A website is just one part of what should be your entire digital strategy. What are you doing to make sure that when people search for you, they find you? But also, that's the website search engine side of the equation. But also, what are you doing to encourage people to want to learn from you, to want to stay connected with you, to be part of your, what we refer to as health tribe, where they learn to learn from you on an ongoing basis. So website, important part of a bigger piece and a bigger understanding of how to use digital media to teach and invite your community on a consistent basis.
Indeed. And if you missed it at the top, you can subscribe to Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere your favorite podcast is found. We're across many, many podcast channels. So if you have a platform and you can't find it, let us know, because you are on a really esoteric platform, but we would love to have it there. Otherwise, you can go to all those major players and get Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor, where we are putting out more than one interview per week. Many of them are featured guest segments on this show. Great information for you to know. We've had an awesome array of guests and many more already recorded that nobody's heard except Jason and I. So stay tuned for those, and stay tuned to the featured guest segment on this show. If you want to check it out all video style, head over to YouTube. We have a whole playlist of our featured guest, audio, Interviews by a Smart Chiropractor, video, all available right now, or at least up to right now's show, all available right now on YouTube. Jason, let's head over to the Payday Practice segment on today's show. Here we go. Welcome to the Payday Practice segment on today's Smart Chiropractor Show. I want to bring Jason up side by side next to me on this one. So the headline here, yes, you read that correct. Number one on Amazon and Chiropractic, that's the Payday Practice. And we are going to thank you for making it that happen. So thank you for everybody around the world, literally US, UK, Canada, Brazil, last I checked. where paperbacks have shipped and Kindles far beyond that. So if you have been somebody that's gone over and picked up the Payday Practice on Amazon, truly thank you so much. Literally every single copy helps. If you have not picked up a copy yet, you can grab a digital copy. We're going to gift digital copies to everybody, and you can access that at thepaydaypractice.com. But if you've picked up a digital copy and you liked it, I'm just going to make the straight up ask. Head over to Amazon, pick up a paperback. It'll look great on your shelf, and it'll do us a solid. So if you've gotten some good information out of it, we would love it if you would pick up a paperback. And we are humbled and honored after many years of work, and we talk about consistency and perseverance. We pressed pause on this a few times, and it took a long time to get shipped. But the most important thing is we kept up. We kept coming back. And now we can be happy to say it is out there. The feedback that we've gotten has been awesome thus far. We have dozens and dozens of docs in our accelerator training program all around the Payday Practice, and well over 1,000 books out there at this point in time making an impact. So if you have downloaded the Payday Practice, if you purchased a copy, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up with feedback. We would love to know what you think, any questions you have. That's what this is all about. I didn't mean that to be a complete monologue, Jason. I meant us to be engaged there, but what are your thoughts? I know we were celebrating via text and DM the other day when we saw that, and it's a good feeling getting out there, and a great feeling that docs are resonating with it.
You know, the most important thing, you know, besides our excitement and enthusiasm for staying with it as long, and all the blood, sweat, and tears it's taken to put this all together, and our heart and soul and passion and knowledge is all packed into all these pages right now. That's all wonderful for us. But what I want to talk about is, why does it matter to you? And the reason it matters to you is because the reason we put all this effort and energy into it is because after multiple decades between Jeff and I in this profession, after really understanding it both as practicing chiropractors as well as, I'll call it, marketing experts, business experts, that we both have a background in it. We've both worked at high levels of marketing within the profession and so on. We are pretty well qualified to get an understanding of the landscape of what's happening on both a macro and micro level. And what we see is concerning, both probably for your practice as well as the macro vision of the profession. And a few common denominators just to lay out as to what drove us to put all of this effort and energy into this project is that too many chiropractors have basically given up their dream practice to really succumb to the needs of their business. Meaning, you started practice for a certain reason, with a certain spirit, with a certain heart, and maybe even a certain vision. And somewhere in implementing that vision, what I'll call your dream practice, what motivated and drove you to become a chiropractor to begin with, somewhere that started to change. And it either changed because you thought that was the right choice, or because someone told you that was the only way to do it. And that's the reality of things, and so on. And so if you have found yourself in that position, as I have, the reason I don't practice any longer is because it became very frustrating. I remember saying to myself, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. What I wanted to do, what I thought I would do, what I had hoped I would do as a chiropractor is very different than this whole running a business, dealing with insurance companies and forms and codes and documentation and always needing new patients month after month after month, and then really focusing most resources into the desperation of trying to get more new ones. That's the conversation we find most chiropractors are having, either publicly and saying it and sharing it, or privately and just knowing the stress that many chiropractors live under, more specifically the financial stress many chiropractors live under. There's another way I know this as well, is that some of the people I know are in charge of fundraising for different organizations, like maybe Life University, for example. And one of the challenges that I hear is that many chiropractors are financially struggling out there. And that's an issue. That's an issue for you personally. That's an issue for us collectively. There is no way for our collective profession to reach its potential, which benefits all of us, if the majority of chiropractors are struggling financially, struggling to understand how do I build a solid, consistent business the way I really want to, based on the way I understand chiropractic, based on the way I want to practice chiropractic, based on the reason I got into this in the beginning, and perhaps have lost your way along the way. So our drive for doing this was not because the world needs more supplements that they can't buy somewhere else, or that another online e-store needs to come up, or any of those tools we have brought, innovated to the profession. But those are the tools that you need in order to set your financial house in order. And in summary, basically, the simple solution to your financial stress is to simply calculate your monthly recurring expenses that you know you're going to have. You have a list of expenses, like your rent, like your payroll, like your insurances, like your loans, like your ongoing monthly expenses that you are required to pay month after month after month after month. And what we recommend is that you're able to generate monthly recurring revenue. We teach 3 different ways. We're not telling you how you should do it. We're telling you that you should do it. And we give you the direction and guide you in your options so you can make the best choice for you, your lifestyle, your philosophy, your practice, your budget, your expenses, and so on. So we're here to help guide you to what's best for you. We provide the tools so there is an excuseless environment to taking action and doing this, whether it's the inspiration to know, how do I make the right choices? Or whether it's the answers to, what do I use again in order to do what you're talking about? We are here to help guide you to generating monthly recurring revenue that will cover your monthly recurring expenses. Start off slow, decrease some of that stress. We're not saying it's an overnight instant lottery ticket. We're saying that it is a way to work your way into consistent revenue, consistent income that you need to pay your consistent bills. So no better time than right now to start taking action, to put this process in place. You can think of it like a disability insurance policy that many of you either have or tried to get and couldn't. What would happen if you couldn't go to your practice and couldn't generate revenue being over your table in your practice? Just what would happen if perhaps a pandemic came, or an injury came, or maybe on the positive side, your vacation came, or maybe you wanted to retire, or maybe you've decided that you want to evolve into serving chiropractors and people at a higher level, and you're just not sure, how do I generate the funds to support that type of growth, that type of evolution, or those changes that are taking place in your life? We all face them. Jeff has faced them. I've faced them. You face them. Whether you're facing them now, if you're earlier in your career and you're trying to build up your patient base, whether you're later in your career and you're wondering what next. Maybe you've noticed your crypto or your accounts aren't as high as they once were, and you're wondering, how am I going to make sure that I'm able to continue to support myself and my family as time goes on, in the event or when the time comes that you can't earn money bending over a table serving people? We think it's an important conversation to have. Sooner or later, you're going to have it. The sooner you have it, the smarter you'll be, because the sooner you'll be able to put in place those financial opportunities to generate the revenue you need. And momentum matters. So the sooner you start building momentum. So, Jeff, it's been a wonderful celebration on our side. I'm cautious to get all excited for us. It's wonderful. It's all good. This is for the profession. More specifically, this is for you watching this, Mr. or Mrs. or Dr. Chiropractor, who is watching this. Maybe it's your staff, maybe it's your wife, your husband, somebody in your team. This is the new conversation. That was the other reason. I'll just close by saying we wanted to talk about something nobody else was talking about. Chiropractors don't need another advertising campaign. They don't need another clinical expertise program. There's lots of those things out there, and yet here's where we are. So this was the idea we believe broke through to the top that speaks to all chiropractors throughout your career. Unless you are about, a year away from retiring and you already have enough financial resources to finance your retirement, it's about the only category of chiropractors that might not necessarily appeal to our book and our process. Everybody else, this is your meal ticket. This is your golden ticket to be able to finance your future and make sure that you've got the revenue you need to cover your responsibilities and your expenses. We are proud of it. We think you're going to love it. And we ask that you invest a little bit of time to check out the book. If you like the book, check out the training. If you like the training, then join us and let our team work with your team, whether it's helping you build a larger tribe, whether it's helping you put together the right types of memberships or subscriptions so that you have something to offer your tribe. We are here to help you all along that way. That's what we do. That's how we're different. If you've got questions, we've got answers. We hope that you'll join us in our group, in our book, in our training, or again, here on our show. You can leave us comments and questions down below in the comments.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. I have nothing to add to that other than asking everybody listening and watching, head over to Amazon, pick up a copy of the Payday Practice. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It would mean a ton to us. And if you want to go that one extra step and leave a piece of feedback, a review on Amazon, that helps us reach as many docs as possible, which is really our goal, is to be able to reach as many docs as possible. I think the knowledge in that book far exceeds the price, as with nearly every book out there. So it's a great investment. Take a few moments over the course of the end of this summertime. Enjoy the book. Take some action steps with it. We're happy to, as Jason said, guide you through that process at any level you feel comfortable. And we appreciate you tuning in to the Smart Chiropractor Show. So I will ask one more time, if you are tuned in but you are not subscribed, please do so. You can head over to YouTube, subscribe to the Smart Chiropractor channel. We have every single segment from every single show, amongst a host of other awesome videos over there. Additionally, if you're checking this out on social, you can enable those notifications. That gives you the ding, and you know we are coming at you live. So thank you so much for being a chiropractor. Thank you so much for listening, paying attention. Thank you so much for making the Payday Practice #1, a new release in chiropractic on Amazon. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's only the start of the conversation, certainly not the end. We want to help you build those payday practices. So have an awesome day. For Jason, myself, and our entire team, we will see you next week. Have an awesome night. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this video on the Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.